We're learning today Daf Kuf Aleph. We start right at the beginning of the Yamud. The Gemara quotes here what we learned in the Mishnah. Hayu Shneim Kayin v'Chulu. Speaking about a case where you had a person that he doesn't know who his father is, and it said if he knows that both of his parents are Kayinim, so then the halacha is that he knows he's a Kayin, but still, if he doesn't know the identity of his father, different halachas that usually relate between a son and a father will not apply to him, or it's a suffix. And one of them the Mishnah mentioned was, if chas v'shalom a person curses a father or hits a father, so usually there's an einish for that, but in this case, we can't give him an einish because we don't know who his father is. So Abraisa says that there are a few different scenarios regarding this halacha. Tana Rabbanon, hikazeh v'chazeh v'hikazeh. So this individual doesn't know who his father is, he hits one and then he hits the other. Kilol zeh, he curses one, v'chazeh v'kilol zeh, and he curses the other. Or kilol shneim bevasachas, he curses them both in both names together, and mamish is one. Or hikash shneim bevasachas, one stick, one strike, he hits both of them together. So chayiv, in such a case, he's chayiv because one of them is his father. So either way, mimanavshach, definitely what he did was what's to his father. Rabbi Yudah says bevasachas chayiv. If he cursed both together at once, he used both names together and cursed them both together at once, so then it'd be chayiv. But b'zeh chazeh, if he curses one, and even if right after he curses the other, so then pater. So then he'll be pater. So Rashi explains the reason is because the main issue here is with the hasra. For anyone to get any punishment, there has to be a warning. And there's an issue with hasra suffix. When you give the first warning, so then you don't know if this is actually his father. So the person that's receiving this warning is saying, well, the hasra is not so serious. Lav dafka, it's my father. And if he receives the second warning, he also says, well, now, lav dafka, this is my father. So therefore, b'zeh chazeh, he'll be pater. But if it's b'vas achas, he only gets one asra. So if it's one asra, so in that one asra, he's being warned. If you're going to say both names together and curse at once, so then for sure you're doing this to your father. On the other hand, though, Rashi says, the Tanakama says that it makes no difference if it's together or if it's b'zeh chazeh, because in the end of the day, mimanav shach, what he did was to his father. So the chayre, what Rashi means is when he cursed the second one, when he got the second asra, at that point he can't say, well, maybe it's not my father. Well, now together mimanav shach, the two that he cursed, it's for sure his father. So therefore, be chayiv. It brings a contradiction here. But Rabbi Yehuda said, Potter bevas achas, that if this person over here curses both of these people, he doesn't know which one is his father, even if it was at the same time, he's still going to be Potter. So even though in this case the hasra is a perfect hasra, but it doesn't matter, still Potter. And says the Gemara, it's taka contradiction here. So Trei Tanoi, Alibud Rabbi Yehuda. These are two Tanoim in explaining what Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is. So my time demanda potter. So the opinion that says that he's potter, why would he be potter if bevas achas he curses both of these individuals, so he for sure cursed his father? Rab Chanina answers Nemar bracha lamata. It says the term bracha. So this is a euphemism. It really means the opposite of a bracha. But it says this idea of cursing a father lamata, regarding cursing a father, which is here below in this world. The nema bracha l'mayla, and then it also says bracha, the opposite of bracha, regarding the Eibishter. The isser of the opposite of bracha in relation to the Eibishter. So ma'la mayla, just like by the Eibishter, when it speaks about this, so the Eibishter is she'ein b'shutfis. The Eibishter exists without any other, no doubts of who it is. It's just the Eibishter alone. And only when you are saying the opposite of bracha for the Eibishter alone, so that's when the isser applies. Aflamata, so to here below, when it comes to a father and mother, she'ein b'shutfis. The isser is only in a situation where there isn't a doubt where it's one and another, and in order for him to be over the isser, you'll have to curse both together. And then v'iskish hakol l'klala. Just like we learn and we compare this halacha regarding cursing, so we see in the pasuk in Parashas Mishpatim where it says the isser of not cursing a parent and not hitting a parent, the Torah puts both of them in psukim that are close to one another. So we learn from one to another that the same thing is also by hitting, that it has to be only if you know clearly who the father is or who the parent is, not if there's a shutfis that you're not sure who the parent is. Then it said in the Mishnah regarding this individual, he doesn't know, he knows he's a Kayin, but he doesn't know to which group of Kayinim he belongs to. He doesn't know who his father is. So it said, he goes and he can do the Aveda in the Beis HaMikdash because it's a mitzvah, so they can't stop him from coming and joining in the Aveda. But it said he doesn't get the portion from the hides of the animals, he doesn't get. If he doesn't get a portion because they can tell him, how do you know this is yours? So then why does he go and join in the Aveda for the mitzvah to do his Aveda in the Beis HaMikdash? That's the question. So the Gemara asks on this question itself that it's not understood what the question is. You're asking Lama Oila why he goes to do the Aveda? Ha'amar, the answer is because this person is saying, Be'ina the Nevid mitzvah. I want to do a mitzvah. Why should we stop him of doing a mitzvah? If he wants to take the hides that the Kainim usually get, it's distributed for them, so we can say to him, how do you know this belongs to you? But to come and do a mitzvah, why should we stop him of doing the mitzvah? So what's our question here? Ella, so the Gemara explains what the question really was. Allah loikatani. It doesn't say that if he goes and does the Aveda, so then we can't stop him and the mitzvah is a mitzvah. Rather, Ella oile, it says he goes, he has to enter, he must join in the group of the Kainim from both of the parents that he may be from. He has to go balkarcha. Even if he says, I'm not interested in joining this group, I belong to the other group, or he says to the other group, I don't want to join you. We're going to force him to join both groups that he may be a son of, or he may be belonging to them. So why is it? That's our question. Why are we going to force him? The reason is mishum pegam mishpacha. In order that these two families may become embarrassed, because here there's an individual that people may think that he belongs to one family or the other family, and he's not joining the Aveda. People are going to say, what's going on? Why is this Kayin not joining the Aveda? Kayin from this family. There must be something wrong with this family. So therefore his family members can say to him, people think you're part of our family, you must come and join us in the Aveda. If both of these husbands, there's a suffix who's his father, they both belong to the same mishmar, so then he works in that mishmar, and not only that, he takes a portion from the kainim, from that mishmar, because he for sure belongs to this mishmar. When it comes to this person that there's a suffix that he may belong to two different mishmares, so then he can't take any portion from either one. Why? He comes to one mishmar, he wants to take a portion from there, so they push him off. He goes to the other mishmar and they'll push him off as well. But if so, mishmar echad nami, when it comes to one mishmar as well, how does it work with the mishmaris in the Beis HaMikdash? Each mishmar is divided into 6 different batei avis. It's divided into 6 different groups that for every day of the week that another family does the Aveda. So if so, even if he knows which mishmar he belongs to, but he'll go to one group, one family that's, let's say, doing the Aveda on Sunday, and they'll push him off. And the Bach continues and says, like we said before, and if he'll go to the other one, they'll also push him off. So even if he knows which mishmar he belongs to, but he doesn't know which Beis Av he belongs to. Rav Papa says, you're right, that's how you have to read it into the Mishnah as well. This itself is what the Mishnah was saying. That if both these people, that there's a suffix who's his father, they came from the same mishmar and also from the same family of the Beis Av that's serving that day in the Beis HaMikdash, then he can come and take one portion because he for sure belongs to that family on that very day. Hadran Allah, Naisan Allah Nusa. This is the conclusion of Naisan al Anusa, the 11th Pedic of Masechta Yevamos. The following Pedic will discuss something that we spoke about so many times in this Masechta, the mitzvah of Chalitza, all of the details of how this mitzvah is done. And for everything that we learned in this Masechta, Chalitza is actually something which is relevant and is done every so often, Bizman Hazeh, when you have this situation. As we learned earlier in the Masechta, that we don't have Yibum Bizman Hazeh. If you remember, there was the opinion of Abba Shaul that he said that if a person does Yibum and it's not Mamish L'Shma L'Shem Mitzvah, so he says that it's like Karev, like an Inyan of Erva. So therefore today we only do the mitzvah of Chalitza. So generally speaking, what's the mitzvah of Chalitza? That if the brother does not want to marry his brother's wife, so she comes to the Bezdin and she removes his shoe from his foot, and then she spits at the floor in front of him, and then she says, or he says that she doesn't want to. He says that he doesn't want to marry her, and she removes his shoe and she spits at him, and then that's it. She becomes mutter to marry anybody else. We'll see all the details here in this Pedic.
That's interesting. The Chum don't let you do Yibam.
Yeah.
Let you do chalitza and embarrass the husband.
No. Mitzvahs chalitza, sagt der Heilige Mishnah, mitzvahs chalitza b'shloisha dayanim. The mitzvah of chalitza has to be done with 3 dayanim, 3 judges. And then the Mishnah says, afilu shlashtan hadyatis, even 3 that are laymen. So the Gemara will explain. It starts off saying dayanim, and then it says hadyatis, simple people. Okay. Now, chalza b'minal, the most basic thing in chalitza is that she comes and removes this shoe. So what kind of shoe is used? So if it's a minal, so Rashi says minal is basically the kinds of shoes that we wear today. It's made from soft leather. So if you're using this kind of shoe with this soft leather, chalitzasa ksheira. So the chalitza that's done is kosher. But as we'll see in the Gemara, it means that only b'diavad it's kosher. L'chatchila, we don't use a regular shoe for chalitza. Because Rashi says the reason is, at least in those times, this kind of shoe, so the top of the shoe could tear off, and then it's not going to be a proper shoe to be used for chalitza. So in order not to come into this issue, so l'chatchila, you don't use this kind of shoe. Ban pilia, if you're using a shoe which is basically made from material, or almost like a sack, or maybe a thicker kind of a sack which is made of a material shoe, chalitzas apsula. So that's not called a shoe, and therefore it's possible. The sandal, if you're using a kind of sandal which is made from a more tougher material of the leather, is a different kind of leather. This is the kind of shoe that's l'chatchila used for chalitza. So sheyesh le'akev, if it has a sole, kosher. So then it's kosher for the mitzvah. She'ein le'akev, if you're using this sandal but it doesn't have a sole, pasul. So then it's pasul. Min ha'arkuva olamata. So if this individual, this man, that chalitza is done by removing the shoe from his foot, so he has a foot and his foot extends below his knee, and he's wearing a shoe, then chalitza ksheira, then the chalitza will be kosher. Min ha'arkuva lamayla, if God forbid his foot is amputated and he only has only above the knee, and that's where he's wearing a shoe, so her removing the shoe and that over there is not can't fulfill the mitzvah. Chalitza psula, then the chalitza is pasul. Chalza be sandal she'ein shaloi. He's wearing a sandal, the sandal that chalitza is done with, but it's not even his b'chlal, and she removes it from his foot, that is. Shal eitz, or it's a sandal that's made from wood. Oy b'shal smail biyamin. He's using the sandal that's worn on the left foot, and he's wearing it now on the right foot. So chalitza ksheira, b'diavad the chalitza is kosher in these cases. Chalza begadol. She removes the shoe that's too big for the size of his foot. But shuhu yachal halach, but he could still walk with it. It's not going to fall off. Oy bekatan, or it's too small for his foot, but shu chayfe esroiv raglai. It covers most of his foot. So chalitzasa ksheira. The chalitza then will be kosher. Sagt Heilige Gemara, achar the afile shloisha hadyatis. If the Mishnah begins saying that just 3 simple people could be used for the mitzvah of chalitza, so dayanim lamali. Why is it saying in the beginning of the Mishnah you need 3 dayanim judges? And says the Gemara, Hakam Ashmalon, what it's saying is as follows. The Be'inon B'Shleisha, you have to have 3 individuals, Sheyadim Lahakrais Ke'en Dayanim, that they'll know how to read the psukim that you say to this man when he does not want to marry his wife. There are psukim that you have to say, as we'll see later here in the Pedic. So they have to know how to read those psukim like Dayanim can. Tanina La, the Tana Rabbana, so we learned here in the Mishnah what it says in the Braise, Mitzvahs Chalitza is done, B'Shleisha Sheyadim Lahakrais Ke'en Dayanim. It is done with 3 that know how to read, like Dayanim can read the psukim that they have to say. But now here in the Braise, regarding the number of people that you need in the Bezdin for the Chalitza, there's a machlokes here. Rabbi Yehuda says, B'chamisha. Not 3, but you have to have 5 for the mitzvah of Chalitza. So now my time in the Tana Kama, what's the reason for the Tana Kama, which is also the Tana of our Mishnah, that says that 3 is enough. So the Tanya we learned in another Braise. There in the mitzvah of Chalitza, the pasuk says Zekanim. Zekanim is a plural term, which means Shnayim. You have to have 2 people for the mitzvah of Chalitza. And ve'ein bezdin shakel, because we never use a bezdin where it's only 2, where it's shakel with 2, one against the other. You have to always have it to be an odd number. So we add 1 more, arei kan shleisha. That's how we know that the bezdin is 3. For Rabbi Yehuda, why does Rabbi Yehuda say that it's 5? Because besides Zekanim, it says there also in the pasuk Ziknei irei. Ziknei is Shnaim, it's another 2. And Zekanim, as we quoted before, is also Shnaim, another 2. So that's 4. And Ve'im Bezin Shakel, so it shouldn't be an even number. Mesifin Alei and Oidachat. So we add another one, that's 5. Arei Kan Hei, so that's 5. So now the Gemara will go through many different psukim here to explain all the psukim that it says here regarding this number according to the Tanakama and according to Rav Yehuda. Talk to Gemara with Tanakama, hi zikne my ovid le, according to the Tanakama. So this word zikne that seems to indicate that there's another two here. What does he learn from here? And says the Gemara le Rabuye, he learns from here that afilu shloisha adiyaitis. Zikne means elders, meaning any elders. So therefore it's coming to say that it could be even adiyaitis, even simple people. But Rabbi Yehuda had yaitis minole. From where does he know that it doesn't have to be expert ayana, but it could be even simple people? And it says the Gemara nafkele mi le'ene. It says that she comes. Lashon of the pasuk is v'niksha yivimte elov le'ene hazakenim, in front of the eyes of the zakenim. So le'ene comes to say people that have eyes. Any simple people that have eyes can also be used for this. Doesn't have to be anyone special. And Amamar le'ene prat lesumim. Le'ene means as long as they're not blind, so that teaches me that it's anybody. Oh, the Gemara actually explains over here how exactly this limit comes about from the word le'ene. It's not just simply because it says le'ene, but it's because we're learning le'ene, which means prat to anybody that's blind. This itself is a raya that it could be any simple person, as the Gemara now explains. If we need a special pasuk here to say that you can't use blind individuals for this mitzvah, shma mina dafil adiyaitis. This itself is the proof that you can use even simple people. Why? If you're going to think that the people have to be from the Sanhedrin, that's what you need, so then lama lila mutisumin. You don't need this pasuk here to say that you can't use blind individuals. Why? That we know already from a different place. Midatana Rav Yosef. We could learn it out from what Rav Yosef taught. The Tana Rav Yosef, because Rav Yosef taught, Kishem shebezdin menukim b'tzedek. Just like the bezdin, people of the Sanhedrin have to be clean and pure, totally righteous. Kach bezdin menukim b'kol. So too, anybody that's in the bezdin of the Sanhedrin, they have to be clean of any blemish, including not to be blind. Shenama, there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim that says, Kulech yafa rayasi. You're totally beautiful, my wife. And there's no blemish in you. So even though Shir Hashirim in general refers to all the Klal Yisrael, but the Gemara here is saying that this is going on the Sanhedrin. So therefore the fact that the Sanhedrin can't have someone blind is you see from this pasuk. So why do we need a special pasuk here to say that the one that's being used for the mitzvah of Chalitza can't be blind? Because it doesn't have to be someone from the Sanhedrin. It could be any simple person. Now, according to the other opinion, so he doesn't learn from here, from this le'ene, that you can use any simple person. So what does he learn out from le'ene? And says the Gemara, he learns out what Rava learned from here. Rava said that le'ene is teaching me how the mitzvah itself is done. When she spits in front of the Yavam, the bezdin that's there, they have to see the spit that comes out of her mouth that she's spitting. The chsev le'ene has a kainim in front of the eyes of the kainim that are there, and then it says v'yarka, she spits. So that's what le'ene is used for. So if so, frek the Gemara v'idach, according to the other opinion, nami mibayale lekedirava, don't you need to this le'ene to teach me this halacha Rava says? So the Gemara says you're right. Enacha nami, you're right. From here, everybody agrees it's coming to teach you that the zakainim have to see the spit. So ve'elo had yaitis minale. So according to him, so where do you know that you can use any simple individual? So he brings another pasuk. Nafke mi bi Yisrael. It says over there in the pasuk, be Yisrael, amongst Yidden. So you use the Canaan from amongst Yidden. So Yisrael kalduhu. As long as they are Yidden, they don't have to be special dayanim. Ve'idach, according to the other opinion, hi bi Yisrael, my avidle. What does he learn from this bi Yisrael? Mi bayale l'kedetanet of Shmuel by Yehuda. So what did he learn out from here? Be Yisrael means be bezdin shel Yisrael, v'loy be bezdin shel Gedim. It has to be a bezdin of three individuals that are a bezdin of a Yisraelim and not from Gedim. V'idach, the other opinion says, be Yisrael achrin iksiv. It says a second time in the pasuk the term be Yisrael to teach me this. And v'idach, according to the other opinion, what does he do with the second be Yisrael? Mi bayale l'kedetanya. This is coming to teach what it says in the following Braise. Amar Rav Yehuda said, Pa'amachasi in Yeshum lefnei Rav Tarfon, we were sitting in front of Rav Tarfon, Uba Yevama lachleitz, a Yevama came to do chalitza, Va'amar lanu, and Rav Tarfon told us, after the chalitza is done, Anu kulchem, or actually maybe this is before the chalitza, he said, everybody should announce and say, Chalitz hanal, take off your shoe. So all the Yidden, the others that are present, have to also say, Chalitz hanal, that he should take off his shoe. That's where you learn it out from. And v'yidach, the other opinion, from where does you know this? Mi v'nikra nafke. It says v'nikra, so the pasuk over there says v'nikra shmei b'Yisrael beis chalutz anal. So because it says v'nikra, that means that everybody else has to announce it there. Now going back to what we said before, that we're learning out the number of dayanim from the fact that it says zikenim, a plural term. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it also says ziknei, another plural term, so you know that it has to be 4 and then 5. But the Gemara points out that you have other expressions in the pasuk that you could also learn even to bring the number even higher. So Ela Meyatev, so v'karu shnayim. When it says there in the pasuk that v'karu lo ziknei yirei, so v'karu is another plural term. Maybe that should indicate that there's another 2. And then v'dibru, they speak, so it also uses a plural term. Shnayim, maybe that's another 2. So Hachanami, are you also going to say that the Rabbi Yehuda Harei Kantisha? Rabbi Yehuda that already learned out from before that we have 5. You add another 4, that's 9. L'Rabbanon, according to the Rabbanon, Harei Kan Shiva, that's going to bring it to the number of 7. So why don't we learn out from all those plural terms in the pasuk to say that there's more? And says the Gemara, Hahu mi bayalei l'kedetanya. When it says there those lashonis v'karu v'dibru, they're written for a specific thing, for what you have to do, as we learned in the Braisa. V'karu loy, that they, the bezin, has to call out to this husband, v'loy shlucham. Not a shliach, even though usually we know there's a halacha of shlucha shaladim k'maisei, but not here. V'karu loy, they have to call out to him. V'dibru elav, and they speak to him, melamed. What do they speak to him about? What this teaches me is that they have to talk to him and they have to advise him. Shemisiyan loy etza aganis loy, they give him a good advice. Shemhayu hu yeled, if this man, this brother was young, v'hi zekena, and the Yevamos is very old, or hu zakin, he's old, v'hi yalda, and she's young. So then in Amirim Loi, what we say to him is, Malacha etzel yalda, Malacha etzel zekena, what are you looking for to get married with such a young woman, or what are you looking to get married to such an old woman? Klach etzel shechamaischa, go and marry someone that's your age. V'al tachnis k'toto l'tech beischa, and don't marry this woman that will bring a quarrel into your house. So that's v'dibru. They speak to him, they advise him. Omar Rav Nachman. So Rav said in the name of Rav Nachman regarding this machlokes, how many dayanim do you need? Only 3 or 5. Halacha, the halacha is chalitza b'shloisha. Like we learned in our Mishnah that chalitza is with 3. Why? Hayal v'sasam lon tanek kavasei. Because we have here a stam Mishnah like this opinion, and not like Rabbi Yehuda that says that it's 5. Amalei Rav Nachman. So Rav says to Rav Nachman, ihachi. If so, Miyun Nami, regarding the number of dayanim that's needed for Miyun, which is a katana that was married and she's rejecting her marriage when she becomes a gadol. So over there as well, we should paskin regarding Miyun that 3 is enough. Why? The Tnan, because in the beginning of Sanhedrin, where it goes through different numbers of dayanim that's needed for different purposes. So there it says, Hamiyun v'achalitze b'shloisha, that for Miyun and chalitze, you have to have 3. Okay, so there's a Stam Mishnah that says that you have to have both for Miyun and Chalitza 3. So the halacha for Miyun should also be 3. So what's the problem with this? So the Gemara says, if you're going to say actually that's what we paskin, that it's only 3. But it's not so, because Vatanya, we learned in the Braisa a machlokes regarding who you need for Miyun. And it says there as follows, Miyun, Beishamay Yomrim Bezdin Mumchen. Beishamay says you have to have expert Bezdin. Beisil Yomrim Bezdin. V'shaloi bebezdin, you can use a bezdin or even not a regular bezdin. And Eilu ve'Eilu Ma'idim, both Beishamim and Basil agree, shetzarech shloisha, that you need 3 for the miyun. But Rabbi Yesi bar Yehuda v'Rab Laza bar Rabbi Yesi machshirim b'shnayim. They say that for miyun it's enough even to have 2. And v'Amar Rabbi Yesi bar Minyomi Amar Rav Nachman, that Allah ka'isi azug, we paskin like this zug, this group over here, that these 2, the pair of Rabbi Yesi bar Yehuda and Rab Laza bar Rabbi Yesi, that 2 is enough. So the question is, why regarding Chalitza we paskin you need 3, and why regarding Miyun, which is also a Stam Mishnah here, we say that you need 2? And says the Gemara, Chat Stame, V'hacha Terei Stame. I'm sorry, I missed one word. Hasam Chat Stame. Regarding Miyun, you have one Stam Mishnah saying that Miyun is with 3, and V'hacha Terei Stame. Regarding Chalitza, you have 2 Stam Mishnahs saying that you need 3. You have our Stam Mishnah here in the beginning of the Perek, and the Stam Mishnah in the beginning of Sanhedrin that says that you need 3. But the truth is, even regarding Miyun, there's also 2 Stam Mishnahs that say that for Miyun you need 3. Because there's a Mishnah that we had here earlier in this Masechta. The Tanan says earlier here, if she did Miyun or Chalitze in front of him, you should marry her. Why? Because the Miyun is being done in front of a Bezdin. So here it says, and again, in another Mishnah, in a Stam Mishnah, that Mion is in front of a Bezdin. So you see that from Mion, there's also 2 Stam Mishnahs that say 3. So why did we say that the halacha is that 2 is enough? Answers the Gemara, Ella Hasam Treistami. Regarding Mion, there's 2 Stam Mishnahs that you need 3. And Hacha Tlasastami. And over here, there are 3 Stam Mishnahs that say that for Chalitza you need 3. The Mishnah here, the Mishnah in the beginning of Sanhedrin, and the Mishnah that we just quoted from the earlier here in the Masechta where it said Miyana Oisha Chalza. So we have 3 Stam Mishnahs that you have to have 3. That's the answer. But the Gemara doesn't accept this. The Gemara says, Mechti, let's see. Hastame and Vahastame. We have a Stam Mishnah for Mion and a Stam Mishnah for Chalitza. Mali Chatstam, Mali Treistam. What difference does it make if you have 1 Stam Mishnah or 2 Stam Mishnahs, Mali Tlasa, or 3 times is a Stam? What difference does it make? What's the point there? That the Rabbeinu HaKadosh, when he wrote in the Mishnah, is this halacha without any argument, so that shows that it's a Stam Mishnah that we pass in that way. That's always the rule with a Stam Mishnah. All of a sudden there's a difference if there's 2 Stam Mishnahs, 3 Stam Mishnahs. Why should there be a difference? Elam Rav Nachman by Yitzchak. So Rav Nachman by Yitzchak says a different answer. Because we find there's a Stam Mishnah, even where there was a Machlaikis. In other words, over there in that Mishnah Sanhedrin, Rabbi Yehuda, which is the one that argued about this halacha of Chalitza, and he said you need 5. His opinion is brought there in that Mishnah of Sanhedrin, and still he doesn't argue regarding Chalitza. That's the reason why we're passing about Chalitza, that you need 3. As the Gemara here brings. The Tanan, what did we learn there in the Mishnah of Sanhedrin? So earlier there, in that Mishnah, it brings other things, and it says Smicha Zekainim, to give Smicha or Egla Rufa, when it comes to the mitzvah of Egla Rufa, B'shloisha. For that's enough 3. Divrei Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yehuda, man, over there Rabbi Yehuda argues, and he says B'chamisha, that you have to have 5 for those things. And then the Mishnah continues, Chalitza v'amiyunin b'shloisha, that for Chalitza and Miyun, it's enough to have 3. V'loi kapalig Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda, which was the one that argued regarding Chalitza, does not argue over there regarding Chalitza. So Shema Mina, that proves that Hodebe Rabbi Yehuda, that Rabbi Yehuda retracted from his opinion. Shema Mina, that's the proof. But regarding Miyun, it wasn't Rabbi Yehuda that argued. Regarding Miyun, it was that other peer of Tanaim, Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda and Rabbi Lazar bar Rabbi Yosef. They were the ones that argued, and we don't find that they ever retracted their opinion. Amar Rav said, "Tzrichi dayani lemikva duchte." The dayanim, when they do the chalitza, they have to establish a place where they do it. It's not just in any random place. The chsev, also yevimte ashara, that the Yevama comes up to the gate, elazakenim, to the elders in an established place. Rav Papa, Ravuna Bered, Rav Yeshua, of the Uvde B'chamisha. They did chalitza, and they did it with the presence of 5. So according to who did they do 5? Says the Gemara, command Rabbi Yehuda. They're following Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that you need 5. But Vahadabe, didn't we just say that Rabbi Yehuda himself had charata of his opinion? And says the Gemara, not because you need 5 dayana, but lefasumi milsa. They want to publicize the matter that the chalitza was done. Rashi says the point of publicizing it is either to make sure that a kohen won't marry her, or b'chlal, on the other hand, to let other people know that they're allowed to go and marry her. Rav Ashi Rav Kahana, he came to Rav Kahana. Amalei Rav Kahana said to him, "Solik mar legabon, come up with us l'maluya bechamisha. I need to have 5 people for the chalitza." So we see again this idea that they did it with 5. Amar Rav Kahana said, "Avkim the kamed Rav Yehuda." I was in front of Rav Yehuda. V'amali, and he said, "Ta sak lezirze dekani, come and sit with us on this pile of reeds. Litztarufu bechamisha, to combine to 5 individuals for the chalitza." Amrulai, so they said to him, Lama li chamisha, why do you need 5? Amalu, so he answered, like we said before, Ke'echad lefarsa milsa, in order to publicize the matter that the chalitza was done. Another incident that happened, Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, Avakoi Kamei Rav Yehuda, he was standing in front of Rav Yehuda. Amalei, so Rav Yehuda said to him, Sak tol zirza dekani, again, come with us. He was sitting on a bundle of reeds. Let's tarufi bechamisha, to combine to 5, lefarsumi milsa, to publicize the matter that we're doing chalitza for this woman. Amalei, so he said, this Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda said, Tanina, but we learned in a Braise that be Yisrael, bebezdin Yisrael, v'lei bebezdin shel gerim. From the pasuk be Yisrael, we learn out that the bezdin has to consist of only Yisraelim and not gerim. V'anok gerano, I'm a ger, so you can't include me in this. So Rashi says he and his father became gerim, so he says I'm pasul for chalitza. Amar Rav Yehuda, so Rav Yehuda said about him, he was so honest. He even though he was sort of given this honor to be involved in this chalitza, and he rejected the honor and he said that he's a ger. So Rav Yehuda said about him, Kagayin Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, an individual like Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, ma'fikne mamayna apume. I would be ready to take out money from somebody just based on his testimony, even though usually you need two witnesses to be maitzi mamayin, but based on his testimony, he's so honest, I would take out money. So the Gemara asks, really, could you say this? Mafikna solkedaitach? Are you allowed to be maitzi mammon from somebody, even as honest as this person might be, but just based on what one person says? The Torah says you can only take out money from someone if you have two edim. Elo, the Gemara says, what he meant to say is marana shtore apume, that when you have a document and you want to use a document to collect money, I would use his testimony to hold the money where it is and not to use the document to collect the money. That's the trust that he had in him, that he was saying that he would not use the document to collect money with it.